times in stained glass and in simple wood. But on the night I truly understood, I fell apart like broken childhood. He knew the way before he bore it. He saw my name before he went, and still he walked toward the suffering, and still he chose the punishment. The way he chose to carry for me was heavier than I can understand. The cross he bore was not just timber, it was everything I am. The way he chose to carry for me was the weight of every wound I make, and he carried it with love unchanging. Every step he took was for my sake. Not unwilling, not defeated, not a victim of the Roman hand. He laid his life down as an offering and took it back as he had planned. He knew the weight before he bore it. He saw my name before he went, and still he walked toward the suffering, and still he chose the punishment. The way he chose to carry for me was heavier than I can understand. The cross he bore was not just timber, it was everything I am. The way he chose to carry for me was the weight of every wound I make, and he carried it with love unchanging. Every step he took was for my sake. What kind of love walks into death? What kind of God kneels in the garden? What kind of king refuses rescue so that the broken can be pardoned? Jesus Christ, the weight you carried bore my name upon its grain, and the resurrection proved forever that the weight was not in vain. Thank you, Lord, for the weight you bore. Thank you, Christ, for the cross you wore. God of Abraham, your son restored me by the blood, by the cross, by the weight he chose to carry. For me, for me, for me. The same God who spoke to Moses from the burning, the same God who parted the sea, the same God who held the hand of Abraham is the God who holds on to me. Thousands of years have not diminished him. Thousands of prayers have not exhausted his ear. The God who heard his people cry in Egypt still bends his ear to hear. The God of Abraham hears me still. The God of Isaac answers still. The God of Jacob wrestles still with every broken soul who calls his name. The God of Abraham hears me still. No silence, no distance, no darkness separates me from his will. The God of Abraham hears me still. I am not a stranger to his covenant. My name was known before the world began. And when I cry into the void of midnight, I cry into the open ear of God. Thousands of years have not diminished him. Thousands of prayers have not exhausted his ear. use me still. When the loss becomes too real to breathe, when the photographs still smell like them, and you reach for someone gone again. In this hour I have nowhere left to turn except to God who sees my grief, who does not call my mourning weakness, but receives it as a prayer. God of the grieving hour, God of the midnight cry, God who bends down low to hear the wounded why. I do not grieve without you. Sign of broken faith, but evidence of love that will not fade. In this hour I have nowhere left to turn except to you, the God who sees my grief, who does not call my mourning weakness, but receives it as a prayer. God of the grieving hour, God of the midnight cry, God who bends down low to hear the wounded why. I do not grieve without you near, I do not mourn alone. God of the grieving hour, you are praise you. Even here, you are here. He rose before the morning had a name, and cut the wood with hands that wouldn't shake. He didn't tell the boy what God had claimed. He only knew that love could walk to breaking. 3 days of silence on a mountain road, 3 days of faith that didn't ask for signs, 3 days of carrying the weight of God's own test and trusting something deeper than his mind. What do you do when the altar needs your everything? When the promise and the curse look the same? When the voice you trust the most says lay it down and calls you by your name? Moriah taught me that surrender isn't lost. Moriah taught me God provides, but at a cost. That sometimes love must walk to the edge of the unthinkable and trust the voice that calls you there. Know something that you don't. Moriah taught me how to climb when everything in me said turn around and hide. What the mountain asked of Abraham, it's asking me right now, tonight. I have stood before my own unanswered Moriah, with the thing I love the most inside my hands, convinced that God had promised me this future, and unable now to fully understand. But something in the marrow of that story won't let me fold the altar up and leave, because the ram was in the thicket all along. What Moriah teaches is believe. What do you do when the altar needs your everything? When the promise and the cost look the same? When the voice you trust the most says lay it down and calls you by your name? Moriah taught me that surrender isn't lost. Moriah taught me God provides, but at a cost. That sometimes love must walk to the edge of the unthinkable and trust the voice that called you there. Know something that you don't. Moriah taught me how to climb when everything in me said turn around and hide. What the mountain asked of Abraham, it's asking me right now, tonight. You saw the sun you'd one day stand before the knife it left the hand. You knew the ram behind the brush before the test had ever planned. And if you love that much in type and shadow, how much more in full and final truth? The mountain wasn't cruelty, it was mercy. Moriah was a portrait of the cross. Moriah taught me that surrender isn't lost. Moriah taught me God provides, but at a cost. That sometimes love must walk to the edge of the unthinkable and trust the voice that called you there. Know something that you don't. Moriah taught me how to climb when everything in me said turn around and hide. With the mountainest of Abraham, he gave on Calvary's hill. My Jehovah Jireh on the mountain, he will be seen on the mountain. He was seen. I did not come here with composure. I did not come here standing straight. I came the way the broken always come, face down at the master's gate. And he did not tell me to get myself together before approaching where he stood. He reached down to where the broken lay and broke the bread and called it good. Broken at his feet and rising, shattered at his throne and made whole, falling at the altar and ascending, dead in sin and living in his soul. Broken at his feet and rising, this is how his kingdom works. The last become the first before his presence. Broken at his feet and rising. The woman with the alabaster jar broke what was most precious at his feet. And what the room called waste, and what they criticized, he called a beautiful and holy thing. He does not tell me to get myself together before approaching where he stands. He reaches down to where the broken lay and lifts them with his hands. Broken at his feet and rising, shattered at his throne and made whole, falling at the altar and ascending, dead in sin and living in his soul. Broken at his feet and rising, this is how his kingdom works. The last become the first before his presence. Broken at his feet and rising. Rising. This is the was calling the foundation, what I call the end of everything. He was calling consecration, and among the broken pieces, through the rubble and the ash, I saw the mark of something holy, a hand that never turned its back. His hand in the ruins, his hand in the wreckage, his hand never left me, even when everything failed. His hand in the ruins was building something I could not yet see or tell. His hand in the ruins is faithful. His hand in the ruins is still here. The God who made the world from nothing makes something from my nothing too. The God who raised the dead to living is raising what was lost in ruin. I give him every broken fragment, every piece I cannot name. His hand was in the ruins, and it will not leave again. His hand is here in the ruin. His hand is here in the ash. His hand is here, God of Abraham. Your hand is here. You are building, even now. You are building from the ruins. Your hand is here. This grief was not the plan I made, not the path I thought I'd walk with you. But here I am beneath the weight of a sorrow that cuts straight through. I brought it to your altar, laid it down with trembling hands, and you didn't take the pain away, but you met me where I stand. You said this wound is sacred ground. You said I'm making something holy now. This grief has made me holy, not because I chose the pain, but I brought it to search the ruins for a reason why. Asked 1,000 questions to an empty sky. Everything I loved was scattered on the ground, and all I heard was silence, not a single sound. But then beneath the rubble, something whispered soft and low, a voice I thought I'd lost, the only one my heart still knows. You didn't stop the storm from tearing me apart, but you never left the wreckage of my heart. I heard you in the wreckage when every voice was gone. You didn't stop the breaking, but you stayed. You stayed. Your voice was never silenced, even when mine was gone. You were there. You were there. I thought that love meant you would spare me from the pain, but you loved me through the fire, through the loss, through the shame. You didn't promise me a life without the scars, but you promised me your presence in the dark. You didn't stop the storm from tearing me apart, but you never left the wreckage of my heart. I heard you in the wreckage when every voice was gone. You didn't stop the breaking, but you stayed. You stayed. Your voice was never silenced, even when mine was gone. You were there. You were there. You were I wanted answers. You gave me your hand. I wanted reasons. You gave me a plan. I don't understand, but I trust you. I trust you. Even in the wreckage, I trust you. I heard you in the wreckage when every voice was gone. You didn't stop the breaking, but you stayed. You stayed. Your voice was never silent, even when mine was gone. You were there. You were there. You were there. You are here.